Today, we are going to dive into a modern social trend that, believe it or not, has some seriously ancient roots. And it's all about one of the most powerful, yet kind of overlooked figures in the family tree, the aunt and the uncle. So right off the bat, I've got a question for you. Are you a pank? Now, you might have heard this term floating around, or hey, you might even be one and not even know it. So what on earth does it mean? Okay, so PANK. It stands for Professional Aunt, No Kids. It's a term that was actually coined by Melanie Notkin, who founded SavvyAuntie.com, to put a name to this really powerful group of women. Women who don't have kids of their own, but are super invested in the lives of their nieces and nephews.
And this is a huge cultural shift. I mean, for centuries, a woman without children might have been called a spinster, a word just dripping with pity, right? But PANK? It completely flips that script. It celebrates this role, and it puts the word professional right up front, which implies success, independence, and, a chosen and cherished position.
And get this role has some serious economic muscle. Research shows that PANKs spend, on average, a whopping $387 on each kid in their family every single year. So they're not just showing up for birthdays, they are a major financial force. But, as we're about to see, their real value goes way beyond the price tag on a gift. All right, so let's crack open the modern aunts playbook, shall we? Because their influence is about so much more than just awesome presents. It's about the really unique and complex roles they play in a kid's life. In fact, there's this one fascinating study that identified 5 different roles aunts often step into. They can be a teacher and a role model. They can be that trusted confidant, the one you can tell anything to. They can be a savvy peer who just gets it. And sometimes, they can even feel like a second mom. And this quote, wow, it just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of their unique spot in the family. As one person in that study said, an aunt is like a mom, but without all the baggage of being the main rule enforcer. They get to be the guide, the mentor, the support system, all without ever having to be the bad guy. So we've got this modern, celebrated figure, the PANK. But what if I told you this isn't a modern thing at all? What if this special relationship is actually an ancient family institution that even has a formal name? So, is this incredibly powerful role, this unique mix of parent and friend, really something we just came up with in the 21st century? The answer? Oh, it's not even close. Turns out, the role of the PANK has a formal anthropological history that stretches back centuries and across all sorts of cultures. Everybody meet the avunculet. The name comes from the Latin word unculus, which, get this, specifically means the mother's brother. It's a formal social structure where there's this special, often mandatory, relationship between an uncle and his sister's kids. And this wasn't just, a nice little bonus. It was a core piece of the social fabric. So let's put them side by side. You've got the modern PANK role, which is all about personal relationships. It's defined by emotion, and it's totally flexible. You choose it. But then you have the ancient avunculet, which was basically the opposite. It was based on society's roles. It was structurally defined, and it was often an inherited obligation. It was a duty, not just a feeling. And listen, this wasn't just some weird, isolated thing. Anthropologists have found versions of the avunculet all over the planet, from the Tsanga people in Mozambique to the Apache in the American Southwest, all the way to the Chamorros in the Mariana Islands. It seems like the special role fills some kind of fundamental human need, no matter where you are in the world. So what is that need? What makes this third place in the family structure so incredibly powerful, whether we're talking about the formal avunculet or the modern PANK? Let's break down why this relationship is just so important. Well, it all comes down to this idea of a third-party perspective. Aunts and uncles are insiders, right? They know the family, they know the parents, they know the kid, but they're also outsiders because they're not caught up in that daily parent-child power dynamic. And that unique position is what makes them, as the researchers put it, ideal confidants. You can really boil it down to 3 things. Number 1, they're close enough to really, truly care. Number 2, they're just distant enough to offer a fresh perspective. And number 3, they're free from all that daily pressure that comes with the parent-child bond. It's like a perfect trifecta, right? But that freedom also leads to something else. Something really fascinating and kind of counterintuitive that researchers call non-engagement. And this is the idea that the relationship doesn't need constant, intense attention to be valuable. And this quote from the study, man, it just sums it up perfectly. That little bit of distance isn't a bug in the relationship, it's a feature. The connection can be there when you need it and just kind of chill in the background when you don't.
For an aunt or uncle, sometimes just existing as that reliable person is exactly what a kid needs. So when you bring all these pieces together, you start to see that aunts and uncles are this crucial part of the kinship connection. They're often the unofficial, unsung heroes, the social glue that holds the entire extended family together. And you know what? There's actually a name for all this work. It's called king keeping. It's the labor of keeping those family ties strong, organizing the holidays, remembering the birthdays, making the phone calls. And study after study shows this vital job is overwhelmingly done by women. And aunts are very often right at the center of it all. So when you look at this timeline, you can really see the incredible journey this role has been on. I mean, we started way back in ancient times with the formal avunculate actually structuring societies. Then we moved into the 20th century with figures like Aunt B, becoming this cultural icon of nurturing. And that brings us right up to today, where the punk is this celebrated independent force. The names change, but that fundamental purpose, it stays the same. And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important point here. The role of aunt or uncle isn't always about blood. It can be a godparent, a close family friend, a mentor. So the real question to think about is, who are those people in your life? And how do we value this essential third-party role that's been holding our families together for literally centuries?